Welcome to my Rikka Sunavalon deck profile. This is my most played competitive deck out of anything in the TCG, and that's mostly because it's definitely my strongest. Let's start by going over the Rikka engine. 2 Rikka Petal, this is our main searcher. Rikka Princess, our big negate and extender. Premier Rikka Fairy to combo with both Rikka Princess for level 4, for rank 4. And when we search it off for Rikka Glamour, you can immediately special summon it and go into a rank 4. Within the Rikka Fairy is our spell card searcher. Snowdrop the Rikka Fairy is both an extender if we get hand trapped, and it's also how we make our big rank 8s. I am running a build that is very heavy on the Rikka monsters. That way we can play around some hand traps without having to buy the Theron engine. Of course, 3 of our Rikka Con. This right here is going to get us to any of the spells we need, and it's going to make Princess, move down the Rikka Fairy, Snowdrop, literally every Rikka card, an amazing out to everything. Rikka Glamour, this is going to let us tribute 1 to search both Rikka Princess and Premier Rikka Fairy. On resolution, we get the special this for an easy rank 4. Now, it's also good to note that we can use Rikka Glamour to search Sunseed Genus Lockeye by searching both Petal and Sunseed Genus. This is a hard one to go for, as if your opponent has a hand trap, they can shut your combo down dead. A good Rikka player will notice the opportunity and go for it. Rikka Flurries. Rikka Flurries is a bit of an odd pick here. It's not very popular because it doesn't directly do anything, and it's more so an extra extender if we already have the main 3 spells for our combo. What Rikka Flurries excels at is playing against Labyrinth. If you're playing against Labyrinth, there's a good chance you're going to have to out our opponent's big, beefy, untargetable monsters. Rikka Con plus any of our tributors will get us there. But doubling up on this with Rikka Flurries absolutely annihilates the deck. Of course, here's our actual main tributor, Rikka Sheet. It lets us tribute a monster to target one of our opponent's monsters and steal it. This is one of the most absurd cards in the game. And by the way, even though you can't do this on Master Duel, you can in the TCG, you can target and then tribute the same monster. This is because it says target first and tribute second. It's very absurd, but it outs so many things. You want to out Sky Strikers before they can link off Ray into whatever. Tribute it as cost. Target it and then tribute it as cost. It is an absurd play that completely shuts down several major decks. Of course, for the best starters possible, Sunseed Genus Lockeye. I'll go over the combo with this in a bit. This normal monster makes every other negate in the game just by itself. It's absurd. Every opponent is going to try to stop this in some way, shape, or form. Here are the 2 extenders for the combo. Sunseed Twin, Sunvine Sowing. If the opponent is good, and they have like Ash Blossom, they will either try it off of Rikka Glamour or Sunvine Sowing. If your opponent hits the extra deck monster to search, they're bad because this isn't once per turn, and it is quite easily possible to set it up multiple times in a game. Multiple times in a turn, I should say. Now, for hand traps, which is really where this deck gets a lot of its gas, 3 Nibiru to play around Kashtira, which are the big dominant meta threat. Droll and Lockbird to hit Runic Sprite, as well as Kashtira. It's a good pick. With how popular Labyrinth is, it's not as good as it could be. We're really depending on our side deck to hit Labyrinth. So that's why I'm more okay with running these 3, or these 6 here. Of course, Ash Blossom, it hits literally everything. You get matched up with Branded, hit that Branded Fusion. You get matched up with Labyrinth, hit that Welcome Labyrinth. You get matched up with Kashtira, hit that Kashtira Theosis. Absolute amazing. Now to play around hand traps, 3 Triple Tactics. Triple Tactics is the most absurd card in the deck. Flat out. It's draws. If you're ahead and you get hand trapped, you rip one out of the opponent's hand. It wins games if it goes off. And with how popular hand traps are this format, especially monster hand traps, and Perma isn't really doing anything, Triple Tactics is absurdly good. And lastly, one called by, because we should. Good both going first and sometimes going second. It depends on the matchup, if we're being honest. Now, for the extra deck. Starting off, we have to get our Sunavalon package. 3 Sunavalon Dryas, 3 Sunavalon Dryas, 2 Sunvine Healer, 1 Arome's Jasmine, 1 Dancefion, 1 Milas, and 1 Behanglamancer. Since these are our starters, and we need at least 2 of them for the combo, we do go ahead and run 3. That way if one gets negated, we can still attempt to do these later on. Sunvine Healer is also a double you need for the combo. So, this is unnegotiable. Milas lets us free climb into our Link 4, and our Link 4 is Behanglamancer the Resurgent. Big beat stick, bounce, comes back from the grave, everything you want in a big Link 4. Jasmine lets us climb. Jasmine lets us pull out any plant monster from our deck. If we were playing a Theron package, we could pull out the Theron plant monster. In this case, we're just going to be most likely going for the Rikka level 1. It's absurd, it's an enabler, and since Sunvine Healer gains life points, we can use it to trigger Aromasary Jasmine. And lastly, Sylvan Dancefion. And lastly for links, Sylvan Dancefion. Sylvan Dancefion is a backup plan. If we're locked into a situation where there's basically nothing we can do with our board, going into Dancefion to just try to rip cards off top deck and hopefully sacking into something is surprisingly decent. It's not good, but it does work more often than not, as the odds are actually in your favor. Somewhat, especially with hitting 3 off top deck. Plus, it also sets up for some XYZs, meaning it's a really good roll of dice to get out of jail free card. For XYZs, 2 Rikka Strenna. This is the most absurd card in the deck. It lets you, when it's tributed, it lets you go into any of these XYZs right here. What's even more funny about it is since it doesn't have any negates, if your opponent asks you if you have any negates on the board, you tell them no. It's a bit of a jerk move, but it works almost every time. Because this isn't a negate until it is tributed. Now, the 2 main disruption ones are Sacred Tree Beast Hyperton, who is an Omni-Negate for whatever he has attached to it. So as soon as you go with Strenna, you get a monster negate. On your turn, he lets you re-equip a Materia from the graveyard, depending on the type of card you played. This is our only real way of getting the spell negates, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's not as bad as you'd think it is. Teardrop the Rikka Queen, quick effect monster tribute. This is absurd, and what's more important is it fulfills the requirement of having a Rikka monster engraved so we can activate Rikka Princess's effect. Asael the High Sylvan Protector is one of the most underrated yet overpowered cards in this deck. He has 2 effects. First off, he lets you declare a card name, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's that declared name, add it to your hand. Now, he does more outside of just enabling funny cheating shenanigans. He also says, when a card is sent from your deck to the graveyard, choose an opponent's card, put it either on top or bottom of deck. Fate Sealing is toxic and broken. If our opponent's bricked, stacking that bad field spell they put, or bad monster they put on top of their deck, ends their entire existence. He's also another form of removal for back row. I think you should always run him in this deck. He's just absurd. Plus, since he's a level 8 or rank 8, he can be made fairly easily without Strenna. Oya the High Sylvan Arbiter is a bit of a meme, but it's a really funny one. Lets you excavate the top 3 cards at the top of your deck, and for every plant monster, you get to non-targeting bounce that many of your opponent's cards. It is absurdly strong, but he's not the most needed, and you do have to go out of your way to make him, since he is a level 7. And if you remember from the monster section, we don't have any built-in level 7s, nor easy access to making them. The level 7 options for Rikka are not good. Now, let me explain to you the main combo. Alright, so here we're going to activate a single unexpected die. That's going to get Sunseed Genus Lockeye from the deck. Lockeye is then going to let us link summon into Sunvine Dryas. Dryas, of course, is going to let us search Sunvine Sowing. Sowing is going to activate, letting us special a Sunseed monster from our deck. That's going to get us Sunseed Twin. Then we're going to take 1000 damage if Sunvine Sowing resolves. That's going to trigger Sunvine Dryas' effect, that when we take damage to gain the life points back, then summon a Sunvine monster from the extra deck. We're also going to trigger Sunseed Twin's effect to special summon a normal Sunseed monster from our graveyard. So I'm going to summon this and get this back. Sunvine Healer is going to activate on summon to give us 300 life points. Boom. Simple, now we're winning in time. We're then going to link summon into Aromasary Jasmine. From there, we're going to want to link into Sunavalon Dryas, and then once again into Sunvine Healer to gain life points. That's going to trigger Jasmine's effect to let us add any plant monster from the deck to our hand. If you're feeling spicy, you can play a Cactus Bounce in the deck to really just end opponents. It's a bit win more, but it's really funny when it goes off. We're going to go ahead and add Mudan the Rikka Fairy to hand, just in case our opponent decides to Ash Blossom here for some reason. We're then going to use Jasmine's effect to tribute one monster it points to special summon one plant monster from the deck. We're then going to link these two off into Sunavalon Melis. Melis is going to let us revive Lockeye once again from the graveyard. Then we can immediately link summon those into our big Link 4. Now we're going to use Petal's effect to let us search any Rikka monster. That's going to get us to Snowdrop the Rikka Fairy. Snowdrop the Rikka Fairy effect was going to activate to let us special summon these two. Mudan the Rikka Fairy is then going to activate to let us search any Rikka spell or trap. Of course, we're going to search the all-powerful Rikka Con. Con is going to let us activate to set any Rikka spell or trap from deck. Here we're going to go ahead and set Rikka Glamour, and then immediately activate it, triggering Mudan. That's going to let us search any two level 4s. Of course, we're going to go for Princess and Plumula the Rikka Fairy. On resolution, since we attributed a plant monster, we can special summon Primula the Rikka Fairy. And we get to use Princess's effect to special summon herself. Now, we can go ahead and overlay into Rikka Kreen Strenna. Strenna's effect is going to trigger to let us add back any card from graveyard. Depending on what we have in hand, there are a few ways we can go about this. Since I'm showing you a one-card combo, we're going to go ahead and add Mudan the Rikka Fairy. We're going to special summon Mudan the Rikka Fairy, tributing Strenna as cost. That's going to trigger Strenna's effect when tributed to special summon one plant monster from the extra deck. We're going to summon Sacred Tree Beast Hyperton. We're then going to use Snowdrop the Rikka Fairy's effect to make the two monsters we have on field level 8, chaining Hyperton's effect to equip another monster from graveyard as material, and then we're going to overlay these two new level 8 monsters into Teardrop the Rikka Queen. So, off of one unexpected die, we have a monster pop with protection and grave, a monster negate, a quick effect tribute, and a monster negate, and another monster negate. Plus, we haven't normal summoned yet. This deck is absurdly powerful, and it rewards a good player for being able to always set up this combo, even in a tight spot. Lastly, let's go over some side deck options. As I said before, this deck absolutely despises back row. So we're going to be running 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 Lightning Storm, and 3 Evenly Matched. These will annihilate any deck that relies on traps if they don't have Solemn Judgment. And even still, since we're running so many, this is going to help us plow through stuff. Cyclone also very specifically messes with Runic, and Evenly Match is just one of the best board breakers in the game. Lightning Storm gets to be a flex pick, even though it's semi-limited for some reason. And Harpies is just the classic go nuts card. Now, for some more oddball matchups, we have 3 Deep Barrier. This stops any of the big fusion decks, mostly Despia, of course. But we can also use this against XYZ decks in our own deck. Lastly, Dark Ruler No More, Absolute Nuts Go second card, and it stops just about every rogue deck in its tracks. And that's about all for Sunavalon Rikka. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.